And you know what happened? Joshua didn't listen. So in return, what happened? They started taking back the land and enslaving us again. Because we what? We broke the law, statutes, and commandments. We went away from what the Lord told us to do. So you're damn right the Lord's gonna turn his back on us. We turned our back on him first, right? So what's the payment for that? He turned his back on us. And like the brother was bringing out too. He said the only time the Lord went to the other nations was when he wanted to put us in captivity and slavery. And that's why if you go to Psalms, I believe it's 17 and 13, it talks about how the wicked is used as the Lord's sword, right? We don't have to get it. I know we got points.
I'm gonna get Joshua, because for the most part, Joshua's heart was right on both sides. But after Joshua died, that's when Israel started going on.
Right.
Let me get that. Joshua actually said that. He said if you go from following the Lord, he's going to destroy you. This is what Joshua said. Joshua 24 and 19. And Joshua said to the people, "You cannot serve the Lord, for He is an holy God." Meaning you can't serve the Lord if you want to serve the other gods of the other nations also. Okay? For He is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He would not forgive your transgressions nor your sins if you forsake the Lord and serve strange gods. Then He will turn and do you hurt and consume you. And he that hath done good unto you. Okay? So once like the judges would die, or once a judge or a main leader would die, Israel will go back to worshiping idols again, worshiping the gods of the other nations. Okay? It's always a back and forth thing with Israel. That's why we're in this captivity right now. Okay? Because that's what we kept doing. That's what we kept doing. And finally the Lord carried away with the mighty captivity. Okay? After we kept flip-flopping and saying we want to keep the law, and we kept going back, the Lord finally jacked us up and put us in slavery under Esau in America. America's Babylon. I'm trying to find that. It said that He's going to carry us away with a mighty captivity.
Bible.
Right here, this is Isaiah 22 and 17. Isaiah. It says, "Behold, the Lord will carry thee away with a mighty captivity, and will surely cover thee." Okay? So the only captivity that we were actually carried away mightily. It wasn't a mighty captivity when the Babylonians took us down. It wasn't a mighty captivity when the Assyrians took us down, or when the Greeks or Romans took us down. But the mighty captivity was when we were taken from the western interiors of Africa after fleeing Roman persecution in Israel. That was the mighty. This is the mighty captivity that Isaiah is talking about in Isaiah 22 and 17. "Behold, the Lord will carry thee away with a mighty captivity, and will surely cover thee." 18th verse. "He will surely violently toss and turn thee like a ball into a large country. And there thou shalt die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house." Okay? So the mighty captivity was here in America. Okay? The mighty captivity was over there in the islands. Over in Cuba, over in Brazil, over in so-called Puerto Rico. This is the mighty captivity that the Lord was telling Isaiah about, and telling Isaiah to tell the Israelites. Okay? And the mighty captivity didn't happen until mainly 1620 for Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and before that and after that for the rest of the tribes.
Like the brother said, he's bringing out a mighty captivity. In America, we have our nationality. We didn't know who we were as a people. Before past captivities in like Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Greece, when we had our nationality. We knew who we are, who we were.
They made large attempts to get it out of us, but we still knew who we were. Even though the Israelites were Hellenized, the Romance, we still knew who we were. Okay? But it only takes 15 to 20 years to really lose your heritage. That's all it takes. For you to stop speaking your language. For you to forget who you are. 15, 20, one generation, that's all it takes. For another nation to subvert another nation. Alright, this is Jeremiah 17. And 4. "And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and that I gave thee, What he gave us? He gave us the law, statutes, commandments. Okay? The promise to Abraham that the Most High was going to be Abraham's God. And that blessing went down, the promise, that covenant went down from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob. Okay? That the Yahweh was going to be the 12 tribes God. Okay? That's the heritage. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, so discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land that thou knowest not. But Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, we didn't know this land. Okay? Even for the 10 tribes, they didn't know that land until they got there, and they said they serving their enemies. That's still a strange land to them. That's not their land. Okay? Puerto Rico's not the Ephraimites' land. The Ephraimites' land is in northern Israel. Okay, that's a lot that was given to them up in Samaria. Okay.
Got on the precept. This is Psalms 83:1. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Thine enemies. Okay. In order for a nation to be Israel's enemies, they have to talk shit about Israel. Okay, they have to put a curse with their words and with their actions. Okay, on Israel. Okay, it's for you to be Israel's enemy. And what does Genesis 12:3 say? It says that I will bless them that bless thee and curse thee that curse thee. So if you want the war with Israel, you curse Israel. Okay, if you're talking shit about Israel, you cursing Israel. If you're robbing Israel, you cursing Israel. Okay, so you're cursed. Talk about your other nations, okay? So your other nations can't be saved because you cursed Israel. You cursed Abraham, and that blessing went down to Isaac. You cursed Jacob. You cursed the 12 sons. We're one of the sons of Jacob right here. Ephraim, Judah. All right. So you cursed them. The scriptures say that you're cursed if you cursed Israel. All right. That blessing went from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob, down to the 12.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance.
I said our hidden ones, those are prophets, those are just the elect, okay? Like during 9/11 up in New York, the elders got arrested. Okay? That's they consulted against the Lord's hidden ones. Okay? The cops came up fucking with us. The cops fucking with all the other brothers. That's consulted against the Lord's hidden ones.
Right. And it says that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Yeah, that's the slave trade.
Exactly.
Okay? Christopher Columbus having a different sex slave every night. So-called white man going to war with Gad. That's the prophecy. I said Gad, the troops are overcoming, but he should overcome at the last.
Right.
Okay?
The last days. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee.
So all the 12 tribes were fucked up by Esau, by the so-called white man.
Right.
All the 12 tribes. Not just Judah, Benjamin, and Levi.
I was also going to say this. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent.
Yes,
meaning what? Meaning Esau and the other nations, not just Esau. Wait a minute. The Chinese are just as responsible as Esau, just as responsible
Ishmael.
as Moab, Ishmael. They're all responsible because why? For they have consulted together with one consent. Meaning they all came together and said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut off the Lord's chosen people from being a people. We can't let these people know that they're God's chosen. We can't let these people know that they're the Israelites.
Keeping the secret is you're just as guilty. Okay?
Right.
Because if you keep the secret, if you stand by idly, you're just as guilty.
All right, just real quick. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Thee, who's the thee? Israel. They're all, meaning all the nations. There ain't one of the, we don't have a nation, son, but there ain't one of the other nations that are for us. They're all against us. They're all confederate. Not even these average day fucking Moabites, Ammonites, Chinese, Japanese, these Edomites, the so-called white man. None of them are for us. They're all confederate against us. They're all our enemies. Every single last one of them, especially the elite, the puppets, all right? The fucking, this stupid ass Dalai Lama is not for you niggas, okay? Yeah. You know, the elites are not for you. The so-called white man's not for you. The other nations are not for you. And why are we able to say that? Because the Lord said it. For they have consulted together with one consent.
'cause the
They are confederate against thee. You know, what the fuck more do you want? The Lord is directly telling you that there are enemies that are confederate, meaning they join
That
together.
makes perfect sense because it tells you that the nations are nothing. They're less than nothing. Isaiah 40 and 15, 17. It tells you that the nations are as a drop of a bucket.
Right.
So if the nations are a drop of a bucket, meaning they're insignificant, of course the other nations are going to be our enemies. It makes perfect sense.
And we got the law, the statutes, the promise, the kingdom. How
right.
could they be our enemies? They're trying to take what the Most High gave us. You know?
Why would the Lord say that the nations are nothing and then go around and say, oh, the nations can be saved? The Lord himself said that not one dot and one jot to my pass from the law. Okay? See, the other nations, they're the enemy. Okay? David's words aren't going to fail. Didn't the scripture say that his words should not go out void?
That's right.
So basically you're saying that the Lord's words went out, are going to come back void if the Gentiles can be saved. Gentiles referring to the other nations. Gentile Israelites can be saved, yeah. Israelite Gentiles can be saved, but not the other nation that are actually Gentiles.
Lamentations 1 verse 10. The adversary has spread out his hands upon all her pleasant things. So about the other nations.
Now, so the adversary, the main adversary is Esau, okay? And what Satan means adversary, okay? All right.
The adversary has spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things.
All pleasant things. The pleasant things, what? The law, okay? The faith, Yahweh Shai. They in the image. Like when you ever see any movies about Jesus Christ, they always paint him as so-called white people, okay? Whenever you see movies about Arabs, they're Edomites with a light tan on them. They throw some damn dust on them, and they fuck their hair up a little bit to make them look like Arabs.
Right.
Okay? But the majority of them look like that and tell you they're so-called white people. Okay?
The adversary has spread out his hands upon all her pleasant things. For she has seen.
It's all in sport.
Oh yeah, a bitch ain't gonna be shit.
Taffy bitches like
Yeah, a bitch ain't gonna be shit.
Edomites